more serious. I know I'm feeling more serious. They say that people start to get serious about the presidential race after Labor Day. I don't know about you. All of the audio sound bites we have on today's show are anything but serious. We do make serious points here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, but we also use a heck of a lot of humor. Hope everyone enjoyed the last weekend of summer. Labor Day weekend, always one of my favorites. Hope you had a great back-to-school day for all those kids going back to school today. A whole lot of kids in Madison and Milwaukee already back to school for at least a week or so, but this here in Wisconsin, the traditional day that kids go back to school. If you're a new empty nester, at least for a couple of hours, want something to do, why not join today's foray into broadcast excellence? Or, let's be honest with ourselves, it's probably going to be broadcast competence. You can be a part of it on the adventnews.com talk and text line 414-799-1130, 1-800-838-9476. Email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com. You can watch our show streaming live on social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, except unfortunately if you're in Brazil. We'll get to that story coming up later on in the show. Twitter, aka X, banned in one of the world's biggest countries because, of course, those in power who have something to hide can't handle a social media platform where people are allowed to tell the truth, unvarnished by corporate censorship. We can also broadcast to you on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. We do ask, however, to get around corporate social media censorship. The only free speech platform, it's kind of amazing. We get thousands of views on X every day. Maybe dozens on Facebook. You explain to me. I've got maybe 10,000 more followers on Twitter/X than I do on Facebook, but I get thousands and thousands and thousands more views because my feed simply doesn't show up in anybody's news feed. So we do ask you to help that out. Share the live stream on your Facebook feed, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Also, YouTube. Just search for Dan O'Donnell or Dan O'Donnell Show. As always, we give you a reward in the form of a chance to win $1,000 plus a trip to Las Vegas. It's our iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway contest last week this week. The contest does wrap up on Friday, and the word today, Festival, Festival, Festival. You got until 55 past this hour to go to our website, or rather text the word festival to 200-200. On the line, a trip for two to the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas, September 20th and 21st. Round-trip airfare for two is included, as is 2 nights hotel stay, ground transportation, tickets to both nights of the festival, plus a $1,000 gift card. If you enter this contest, you will get a confirmation text and information. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. Since we are now getting super serious about the presidential race, it is time to get a Kamala Harris update.
We see what can be unburdened by what has been.
The next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Would you believe she actually dropped an unburdened by what has been in her speech in Pittsburgh yesterday? I couldn't believe it. She brought back a golden oldie, and let me tell you, friend, I, for one, now feel complete. She feels unburdened by what has been.
We have dreams. We can see what is possible unburdened by what has been.
This has been a staple, and you could actually see it was hilarious. One of the speakers who we'll be introduced to in a little bit, who opened up for Kamala Harris, you could see on her face just the cringe, like, oh man, she's using it again. They tried their hardest to get her to stop cackling, to try to get her to stop seeing what can be unburdened by what has been, but it is Kamala after all. And a lot of people are are noticing that Kamala had a busy Labor Day yesterday. President Trump, like about 75% of the country, took the day off, went golfing, we think, recharged his batteries for, everybody to finally get serious about the presidential race after Labor Day. But she went to two different rallies. One earlier in the day in Detroit, the other in Pittsburgh. Now, she delivered pretty much the same speech. It was a stump speech, but it was tailored for a Labor Day audience because she went to two organized labor events. You would imagine that she focused her remarks on how much organized labor built America, how great it's been for the United States, and what she'll do as president to protect organized labor. She delivered the exact same speech twice. Now, I want you to notice this is very subtle. It's going to be very subtle in the way she delivered the same speech to two different audiences. I want to see if you can actually pick up on this. You might miss it, okay, because it is so incredibly subtle. Here's Kamala speaking last night in Pittsburgh to what she would presume is a primarily white audience. Okay. Pittsburgh is like most big cities. It has a heavy black population, but not nearly as much as, say, percentage-wise, a Chicago or a Milwaukee or, I don't know, random city here, Detroit. So here's Kamala talking about what organized labor has done in Pittsburgh.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Okay, yeah. Thank unions for all of this stuff. Thank unions for Labor Day. Thank unions for the 8-hour day. Thank a union. Okay? Now, earlier in the day, she was in Detroit with a crowd that she would, I think, presume to be more concentrated African American. There would be more black people in this audience. Now, the difference in how she delivers the exact same line is very subtle. Okay. Fortunately, my trained broadcast ears were able to pick up on it. Now, I want to see if a lay person like you is able, because it is subtle. There's been years of broadcasting. I have spent roughly half of my life. In fact, I started when I was 21 years old. So I guess more than half of my life, I have been a professional broadcaster. More than half of my life, I have been studying politics. I have been just focused so heavily on this. So for a lay person like you might not be able to tell the very subtle difference in how she delivered the exact same line in Detroit. You ready? See if you can spot the difference.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
See, it's so subtle. Here's Pittsburgh, white audience.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Here's black audience in Detroit.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
White audience.
Thank unions for sick leave.
Black audience.
Member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave.
I can't put my finger on it. Let's try again. White audience.
Family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Okay, here's black audience.
You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Is this the most phony woman on earth? Give me a break. All I could think of was how quaint it was when Hillary Clinton said, "I ain't no ways tired," and everybody laughed at, look at this. We thought we had reached peak pander, but that was before we were introduced to Kamala Harris. Is it any surprise then that this woman, as we are now getting down to the nitty-gritty, we are now getting super totally serious about the presidential election, she is completely disavowing every closely and previously held policy position. She basically sheds policy positions like she sheds accents. I shudder to think what type of accent she would bust out if she was at Chinatown in San Francisco. My goodness, is she going to sound like Speedy Speedy Gonzalez if she does an event in Phoenix, Arizona, or somewhere near the border in El Paso, Texas? That's a joke. The borders never got anywhere near the border in El Paso, Texas. What kind of insane? That is just too funny to me. Here we go. Black audience Kamala once again, because I simply cannot get enough.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
This is... Where are liberals saying, okay, it's really racist to do like a comically overdone, overwrought Southern black accent? Does she get a pass on this? Does she just kind of get to, because she is black? I'm not exactly sure how this works. But what this is indicative of what she will do and what she will say, and more importantly, what she will hide in order to try to pander to votes. She's able to do this, of course, with a completely and totally complicit media. When Hillary Clinton did the "I ain't no ways tired" speech, the media was all over her because, well, the obvious difference is she was a white lady doing a comically overwrought Southern black dialect. But Kamala Harris is reaching levels of media compliance that we thought hit their zenith with Barack Obama in 2008, as evidenced by the fact that every single position that she has held pretty much her entire political career has been jettisoned, not with her announcing it in one of these canned speeches, doing whatever ethnic stereotypical accent she wants to, and certainly not in an interview. She did one of those with Dana Bash about the friendliest interviewer to Democrats this side of George Stephanopoulos, and even then they had to cut out about 45 minutes of unusable cackling. And I don't know, maybe did she try to do a Valley Girl accent to match Dana Bash? How exactly was she pandering in that one? She didn't announce any policy changes. She didn't announce that she was suddenly in favor of building a border wall, which had to be the most hilarious flip-flop ever. She was among the unanimous chorus of Democrats throughout the Trump presidency, calling it a vanity project, calling it xenophobic, calling it unworkable. Her own vice presidential nominee, by the way, Tim Walz, said a month and a half ago, if Donald Trump builds a 25-foot wall, he's going to invest in a 30-foot ladder company. That's how stupid his idea is. Well, looks like he didn't get the memo, because just about a month later, Kamala Harris is coming out, well, we think she is, in favor of a border wall. And she's doing this through anonymous staff leaks that allows her the plausible deniability of ever actually holding a serious policy position. The problem with someone like Kamala Harris is, unlike Barack Obama, she is not a blank slate onto which people can write their hopes and dreams. That was literally written about Obama back in 2008. The skill of him as a politician was that he never really took any controversial positions, or never really took any positions that would be able to be used against him once he ran for president. He was so adept at speaking in platitudes and ultimately saying nothing that McCain and every other Republican was simply unable to pin him down. You'll notice he started struggling once he amassed a record as president. Mitt Romney couldn't close the deal, even though all the polling suggested that Romney was going to win. Do you remember, by the way, the Gallup daily presidential tracking? Gallup used to do 3-day rolling averages. They used to be in the field polling constantly in presidential races. 2012, they stopped because their polling showed Mitt Romney up 7 points. Now, we should have immediately noticed that something was wrong. We don't have presidential races. Well, we might have if Joe Biden stayed in this race, where one candidate wins by 7, 8, 9%. Democrats, remember, can win by 6%, as Joe Biden did, and still lose the Electoral College, or come very close, as Biden did, the 2020 race, of course, separated by 45,000 votes spread across Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona. But Obama differs from Kamala in that key respect, because people imported onto Obama whatever they thought. I can remember in 2008 talking to my friends, talking to people and saying, Barack Obama really does sort of seem like a neo-socialist. Back when Democrats were trying their best to convince everyone that they weren't socialists before the rise of Bernie Sanders in 2016. And they were like, yeah, we're totally socialists. And of course, there was that, was it Time Magazine or Newsweek headline with Obamacare, and said, we're all socialists now. No, actually, thank you, we are not. Kamala is unable to do that because throughout the Trump presidency, and because Kamala ran for president before, she is on record as having some of the most extreme, least popular policy positions there are. This is why the media, most notably, has tried to shield her from allegations that she was in charge of the border while in the Biden-Harris administration. This is why you get all of these ridiculous gymnastics, like the Associated Press or Politico, an article last week. J.D. Vance tries to tie Harris to the Biden administration. She's the vice president. She was the border czar. Oh, wait, she wasn't the border czar. What they're trying desperately to do is to turn her into another Obama, is to get Democrats so hopped up on joy. And remember, the joy wasn't for Kamala Harris. The joy wasn't even against Donald Trump. The joy was more like relief over the past month that this election wasn't going to be a 7 or 8 point blowout for Trump, that Democrats actually had a chance. But now, as we're post-Labor Day and people are getting serious, I keep repeating this, by the way, folks, because this is old school thinking, that people only really care about the presidential race post-Labor Day. Politics has infected every single part of our lives. Forget about the permanent campaign. We now have an omnipresent campaign. In the era of Trump, really for the past 8-9 years, the media has been so hyper-focused on any and all things Trump, casting itself as the brave French resistance in the face of Nazi occupation, that we can't get away from politics if we try. Because of that, there are far fewer undecided voters than there were at any Tuesday after Labor Day, I dare say, in American presidential history. The fact is, the overwhelming amount of people have already made up their minds and done so long ago. The problem for Kamala Harris is that after this month-long sugar high, the fundamentals in the swing states seem to be pretty much the same. We will explain next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
It's happening at pharmacies all across America. Older Americans keep asking, where are the lower prices on prescription drugs Joe Biden and Kamala Harris keep taking credit for? First, Harris cast the deciding vote for the Inflation Reduction Act, promising to lower drug prices. Then the Biden-Harris administration used the money from Medicare to bankroll their liberal green agenda. That's right. Instead of savings, seniors got a 20% premium increase, restrictions on access to medicine, and fewer cures. Now, liberals want to expand this Biden-Harris scheme that is already hurting seniors. Thankfully, Senator Ron Johnson has always fought to protect Medicare drug coverage. Call him at 202-224-3121. Urge him to keep fighting for affordable drug coverage by opposing S. 1246. Paid for by Seniors for Better Care.
Abby Windows.
Abby Windows is now Abby Home. Why the name change? Because we now do baths and showers too. If you're looking for a fully customized solution to your bath or shower needs that's maintenance free and even better, it's cost effective. Right now, save 20% off your project and get 0% financing for 24 months. Go to myabbyhome.com today. And if somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
Windows.
For over 30 years, Colwell Investment Group, the retirement specialist, has been operating under a fiduciary standard of care, always putting our clients' interests first. We'd like to do the same for you. Give us a call at 262-522-4040 and listen Saturday at 10 a.m. to the Retirement Clinic.
Hey, it's summer and it's time to inspect your roof. Does it look damaged or faded? Are the shingles missing? Let us take a look with a free consultation. You can't find a better warranty anywhere, I guarantee. Visit KlausRoofingByBuck.com and remember, put a Klaus on your house.
Well, summer's here and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
The Dan O'Donnell Show, a tour de force of truth, the sort of truth that you just don't hear reported in the rest of the media all that often. It was a banner day for Wisconsin's Governor, Tony Evers. Banner couple of days, really. He gets booed at an IndyCar event in Wisconsin and then introduces future Vice President Tom Walz. We will get into that coming up in just a second, but the fundamentals of this presidential race still heavily favor Donald Trump, and a slew of recent polls really suggests that and reaffirms that. In a brand new national poll by Active Vote US, Harris is up 50.8% to Trump's 49.2%. Redfield Wilton, another polling agency, Harris up to 44 to 42%. National poll by Tip. All of these released in the last couple of days. Harris up 48 to 45. With the full ballot, Harris leads 47-43. Notably, in this IBD Tip poll, independents still are breaking for Donald Trump, 43% to 42%. ABC Ipsos, which I've been reading about this poll, there are some real issues with it, changing its methodology and really not just oversampling Democrats, but the weighting seems to be off. That one shows Harris up 46%. Why am I telling you that the race has fundamentally shifted, or rather faces Donald Trump's direction, with Harris up in all of these polls? Because this is the worst on the day after Labor Day that any recent Democratic presidential candidate has ever done in the polls. Moreover, Trump's advantage on the economy, Trump's advantage on immigration, Trump's advantage on the question, who do you think has been a more effective leader? Are you or are you not better off than you were 4 years ago? Remember, as Americans start to get serious, super serious about presidential elections, they always ask themselves that traditional question. Are you or are you not better off than you were 4 years ago? Well, we actually have a very unique situation in this election. And you can tell, remember, I always say, look at what candidates are doing in addition to the verifiable data that we have in the form of polls. If you don't trust the polls, look at the polls as one aspect of how this race is going. We have a unique situation in which people can actually compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration. We essentially have two quasi-incumbents. Trump was president 4 years ago, and people remember that they could actually afford gas and groceries. Kamala Harris is running away from the Biden administration. Why do you think Politico last week was so desperate to say, well, J.D. Vance is falsely trying to tie Harris to the Biden administration? I still remember those halcyon days of the Biden-Harris administration before everything went wrong almost exactly 3 years ago today with the disastrous pullout of the Afghanistan war that left 13 service members dead at Abbey Gate. And we'll get into the controversy that just absolutely blew up in Harris's face over the weekend, probably coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. But back in those halcyon days, they proudly called it the Biden-Harris administration. Remember, this was hearkening back to Hillary Clinton and the idea of the co-presidents. Elect one Clinton and get two. Well, that's not exactly how it works, and people, I think, realized very, very quickly how little they liked Hillary Clinton. Well, it's the exact same thing with Kamala Harris. But deeper than that, take a look at what Kamala is being forced to do. Essentially run as though Trump is the incumbent and she's not. She's the candidate of hope. She is the candidate. Once again, they're trying to go back to Obama in 2008. Hope and change. People were soured on the Bush administration. The war had become increasingly just devastating to Bush's approval rating. And then, of course, September 15th, 2008, the failure of Lehman Brothers just solidified in people's minds, oh my goodness, we need a change. Now, the Biden administration, in conjunction with the Federal Reserve, has been trying desperately to put off the recession that everyone in the universe knows is coming. And what they're going to try to do is probably at the next Fed meeting, we're going to talk about this with Dave Spano coming up at the end of the hour, they're going to try to cut interest rates by 50 basis points, 0.5%, because they understand that if they don't, people are just going to stop. Economic activity is going to cease. Remember, we had 800,000+ jobs that were reported by the Biden-Harris administration as being created over the past year or so that just weren't created at all. They overestimated. Weird how that worked. Nearly 1 million jobs that they said, oh, we have saved or created all of these jobs after the pandemic. They didn't. Right? The economy is in far worse shape. Harris, therefore, is forced to try to pretend to do this kabuki theater where she is not in office and does not own every single one of these economic failures. And that's to say nothing about all of the failures with respect to our open border. You'll notice that the southern border has just completely disappeared from the national discourse. Illegal immigrant crime has completely disappeared from the national discourse, although in New York City, brand new report, no surprise, only the New York Post has picked it up, 75% of all arrests in Manhattan for things like violent assault, for robbery, are of illegal immigrants. 75%. Sort of destroying this idea that immigrants create far less crime than do native-born citizens. Yet let's break that down to illegal immigrants as a percentage versus American citizens. Legal immigrants, we do know, people who want to come to this country, who do things the right way, do not commit crime in any real appreciable numbers. In Chicago, in Colorado, they're literally taking over apartment buildings, Venezuelan gangs. This sounds like something out of an old Bruce Willis movie that he's got to go in and he's like, Die Hard, sneaking through the air ventilation to try to get the migrant gangs out of the hotels that they've taken over. But this is real. And of course, the media is not reporting on it because the Biden-Harris administration owns all of it. Tony Evers' bad couple of days, plus much more on the presidential race. And Tim Walz, shocker, just sort of making stuff up again. That next. You got to get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my awesome friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's biggest Labor Day sale is held over, so shop where the O'Donnell family shops. Now more than ever, it's the time to support Built Right, a locally and family-owned business for 4 generations and 96 years strong. Built Right has the best team and selection of affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses in Wisconsin. Be ready for your holiday guests with furniture and mattresses from Built Right. Their 45,000 square foot showroom has thousands of items in stock plus 500 mattresses. Check out Built Right's outlet and clearance center located inside their showroom for special deals. Built Right always saves you money. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Do you need to get a new roof this year but have some concerns? Hi, Colleen here from Tri-County Contracting. Here are some common concerns. 1. I don't know where to start. There's so many roofing companies. Start with Tri-County Contracting. We've been installing new roofs for homeowners like you since the late 70s. We promise the estimate process will be fast and pressure-free. 2. What shingle color do I pick? We can help you match the existing color or help pick a new color. We have our new Berlin showroom full of CertainTeed shingles for you to see up close. We also have a map on our website that you can pick any shingle color and see homes near you where we've installed that color. Go to TriCountyContractingWI.com. 3. I don't want the process to take forever. I want to get this roof off my to-do list. We work hard to have the whole process move as quickly as possible. From getting the estimate to scheduling to getting the roof completed is a fast process. The roof itself usually only takes 1 to 2 days. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Tri-County Contracting.
Quality service maintenance plans. D&M offers an easy-to-understand and easy-on-the-budget maintenance plan. From 1 unit to multiple units, with savings on repairs, no overtime fees, priority service, and yearly maintenance. Why wait? Call us today to learn more about why so many customers like yourselves enjoy the peace of mind that comes with a D&M quality service plan. Call 414-281-5350 or visit us at dmheating.com.
D&M at your service.
Turn to the experts. Carrier and D&M.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for president.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires, it's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
If you're a proud American, that means if someone comes after your family, you got to be ready. That's why you need the Mega 3-Month Emergency Food Kit from My Patriot Supply. Their Mega 3-Month Emergency Food Kit comes jam-packed with 33 varieties of filling and flavorful meals. Not only does that include creamy chicken-flavored rice, old-fashioned Italian spaghetti, and savory cheesy broccoli soup, but you'll also get a bonus protein kit with diced beef, flavorful chicken chunks, and 3 varieties of beans. The Emergency Food Kit provides a whopping 2,500 calories per day to keep you well-fed and ready for anything. It's your solemn duty as an American to protect your family without waiting for handouts. And that starts with emergency food that you can depend on. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now to save $300 on your Mega 3-Month Emergency Food Kit. My Patriot Supply offers free shipping too. Get your Mega 3-Month Emergency Food Kit now at MyPatriotSupply.com.
You don't need to move up north to feel like you live up north. Trees on the Move has an evergreen sale on now. Save on 5 to 12-foot Black Hills spruce, Serbian spruce, Norway spruce, white pine, and more. Add to your landscape with 20 to 30-foot maples, elms, oaks, honey locust, arborvitae, junipers, and more. Trees on the Move has to clear 40 acres, and this is your chance to buy big and save big. Save up to 75% at Trees on the Move's evergreen sale, Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, Saturday 9 to 4, or see treesonthemove.com.
Did you have a nice Labor Day weekend? I did. I did pretty much what I always do on Labor Day weekend. 3 fantasy football drafts on 4 days. I had my one with some friends, old next-door neighbors, still very, very good friend. On Sunday, high school friends. On Friday night, actually more high school friends, my brother's high school friends, and I sort of weaseled my way into that draft. Tonight, we've got the big work league fantasy football draft. Producer Dave, as a reminder, you snipe any of my players, you're fired. But Dave, I trust you had a good weekend. Very similar to mine, he says. I think pretty much most dudes, if they're being honest, have at least one fantasy football draft. Ours are in person, and they are online, but typically we sort of get together. My high school friends, we have not done in person. We've been drafting with pretty much the same guys for 23 years, if you can believe that. And some of the guys asked about that, like, why don't we just do it online? I said, well, if we do it offline, this guarantees that we all get to see each other. A lot of times for some of us, it's the only time all year we get to see each other. If you start going online, yeah, it's more convenient, but you're not able to see each other in person. So we both had great Labor Day weekends. I hope you did too. Do you know who had by far the worst Labor Day weekend of anyone else in the country? Kobayashi, because he lost to Joey Chestnut in the eating contest? Yeah, that's who Joey Chestnut beat, producer Dave. No, he did not have a worse, although let's just say Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi's plumbers probably had the worst weekend. But in terms of the body politic, nobody had a worse weekend than Tony Evers. He was doing the traditional gentlemen start your engines, which you can't do anymore. Have you noticed this? You have to do drivers start your engines because there are ladies who race as well. Listen to the response our fair governor got at the Milwaukee Mile.
Here to give the command for today's race, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Governor Tony Evers.
Drivers, start your engines.
The best is you hear the guy at the very end. It was tough to hear. He goes, "You suck." As if things couldn't get any worse. So that was Sunday. Evers starts the race. He then goes to the traditional Labor Fest Labor Day gathering in Milwaukee with vice presidential nominee Tom Walz. Wait, what?
Those are the exact Midwestern values, qualities, and work ethic that will make Tom a great vice president.
I love how he knew that he misspoke. He said, those are the values that will make Tom a great vice. Will make Tom. He's not vice president, but Tom Walz will be. Of course, his name is Tim Walls, but Tim Tom did what Tim Tom does, and that is, of course, lie during his speech to the people gathered for Labor Fest, saying Donald Trump, if elected, will follow the Project 2025 fear-mongering and reinstitute child labor.
Somebody said, what's next? Child labor? Hell yeah, it's in there. That's what they've got in there. You see states doing that, putting our children at risk. That's what they'll do.
What does he think? These are going to be like Dickensian workhouses popping up everywhere on the streets of Milwaukee. You'll see a poor little kid, please, sir, I want some more. And you got Donald Trump holding the porridge. More? Child labor, yes. Kids are able to work. We have been, as a country, rolling back not child labor laws, but laws that forbid kids to get part-time jobs in the private sector at age 14. Now, who here thinks that a kid working at Culver's is in a Dickensian workhouse in the coal mines or, cleaning up manure after the horse-drawn buggies for 15 hours a day? This is nonsensical, but this is, of course, what the Kamala Harris campaign has got to do. Imagine what life would be like under a second Trump presidency in terms of what they believe Project 2025 to include, as opposed to just saying, look, if they thought they were winning this race on the fundamentals, wouldn't they say not, hey, be scared of Project 2025. Donald Trump is going to single-handedly take possession of your uterus. No, they could say, or they would say, just look back to 2017 to 2021, but they can't, they won't, because they understand we had full employment. People were making more. Life was affordable. And then the exact moment Biden and Harris took over, all of that went away. Moreover, you think I'm kidding about the fundamentals of this race favoring Donald Trump. I talked a little bit about the 2012 presidential election and how badly the Gallup organization got it. Do you know who called every single state correctly in 2012? Nate Silver, then of 538. He now says Donald Trump has a 55% chance of winning the presidency. So too does The Economist's. Now, this is not Trump is polling at 55%. 55% favorite is essentially still a toss-up. Trump got to about 75, 80% favorite when Biden was floundering following that debate. But Kamala Harris has been the betting favorite, if ever so slightly, 52, 48, 54, 46. But Trump is moved back based largely on the strength of his performance in Pennsylvania. But what I always say is don't look. Oh, and by the way, Polymarket, the betting odds, people actually putting their money where their mouth is, also favor Donald Trump, now 50% to 47%. Not exactly sure who the other 3% of people are betting on. Who knows? Maybe they think Jill Stein is going to have a miraculous comeback. President Cornel West, it could still happen. But look even beyond that. What do winning campaigns do? They try to expand the map, right? They feel confident in a state that was once a battleground, but isn't any longer. We have been told that here in Wisconsin, it's almost certain to go to Kamala Harris. Where was Tim Walz yesterday? Milwaukee. Now, granted, okay, every presidential candidate or VP candidate every 4 years comes to Labor Fest. It's typically, I believe it's the biggest Labor Day celebration in America. If it's not the biggest, it's one of the biggest. I myself, weirdly enough, have never been invited to speak, so I guess I wouldn't know. Walz is there. Kamala Harris is going to the La Crosse area, but where is she going tomorrow? Trying to expand the map, putting Trump on defense in a state that he thought he had locked up, like, say, North Carolina. She's going to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Now, this follows reports, turns out erroneous, that Trump, over the weekend, had determined that New Hampshire was out of play, that there was just no chance he was going to win New Hampshire, and he was pulling out all of his resources. Trump campaign has denied that, and this, again, would be bolstered, the fact that Trump does still believe, and Harris does believe New Hampshire is in play, by the fact that Kamala Harris is going to Portsmouth, New Hampshire tomorrow. Remember, the theme of this program is everyone is now serious about the presidential race. This is the time when those undecided voters start to decide, right? If Kamala was really riding this massive wave of joy, why is she being forced to play defense in a state that we were just told Trump has so little chance of winning that he's not even going to expend any resources in it? And if New Hampshire is in play, New Hampshire is only in play when Republicans do exceptionally well. In fact, do you know the last time, if memory serves, the last time Republicans won New Hampshire? It also happened to be the last time Republicans won the national popular vote. That was in 2004, George W. Bush. I'm immediately going to check my work because I remember reading that about 3 weeks ago. It might not be accurate. Someone who always is when it comes to the state of the economy, Dave Spano, plus the unhinged liberal of the day. Next.
If you already know football or you want to learn more, listen to the Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest every week on News Talk 1130 WISN. Mark, along with football handicapping expert Mike Merlette, dissect the most interesting games. Plus, a listener can pick a game for a chance to win a $100 gift card.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac, featuring hundreds of new and pre-owned vehicles, plus impeccable customer service. It's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
Whether it's a complete kitchen or bath remodeling or replacement fixtures, the experts at S&K Remodeling can help you. Their designers have their fingers on the pulse of your dreams. Stop by the S&K working showroom and let the remodeling team show you ideas from ordinary to extraordinary. Call 262-782-7185 or visit SNKRemodeling.com.
When it comes to remodeling, one call does it all. S&K Remodeling.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Mander Collision and Glass. Now, with 6 locations to serve you, you hear me talk about how great Mander is, their work ethic, their customer service. Here's customer Hank. Took my Corvette in for a new windshield with camera in the glass. Their tech knew everything and did a great job. Everyone there was friendly and helpful. I loved the modern and very neat waiting area. Thank you, guys. Finally, even the bathroom was very clean. This is a very professional family-run business. When I need any more work done, I'm coming here. Peter, you're the best. He even brought this old man an armchair so I could sit and work on my laptop. The receptionist was very quick to say hello and knew everything about my job. Thank you. No, thank you, Hank, for reminding me and everyone about the Mander difference. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com. That's mandercollision.com.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
As I was taking him to the replacement part he needed, he looked around at all the people in the store and asked, "With all the competition out there, how do you guys stay so busy?" And I knew he was referring to stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. And I said, "First, it's just having great people on our team. Smart, quick people who really know their stuff. And installers who only know how to do it one way. And that's the right way. And we make sure we carry products like window and door replacement parts that the other guys just don't. And that's why employees from those other stores send a ton of business over here. And we really appreciate that." This is David Wilhelm. Our formula is simple. Quality products, great people, and stock the important things you need that the other guys just don't. And that's why Lisbon Storm Screen and Door is your clear choice for more.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
When it comes to your physical health, getting to the bottom of a problem cannot happen fast enough. This is where Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin's Ortho ASAP clinics come to the rescue. If you're experiencing any sort of bone-on-bone, joint, or muscle problem, walk right in and be seen by an orthopedic specialist trained specifically to treat these conditions. Their website is orthowisconsin.com. The Ortho ASAP clinics are located at both the Pewaukee and Brookfield Square locations and are a lower cost, higher quality alternative to the traditional emergency room or urgent care. You'll be sure to be seen by an experienced orthopedic specialist who's surrounded by a staff that is trained to provide you with the best possible care. Also, their Ortho ASAP clinics are housed where they have on-site x-ray, physical therapy, and MRI capabilities to help with your care all right there. You can learn more at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Hey, it's Dan. CertaPro Painters knows how important your home is to you, and that's why they are so focused on helping you bring a fresh new color to it. You can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right every time, and even in those hard-to-reach places. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaWithACPro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Zero Foxtrot isn't just a brand, it's a way of life. Founded and operated by veterans, Zero Foxtrot's unique apparel and gear echoes the grit of the warrior culture. Zero Foxtrot dedicates itself to producing content, honoring the sacrifices of forgotten heroes of the past, and connecting history to the present. Embark on a journey with Zero Foxtrot today at zerofoxtrot.com. It's not merely our products, it's about the ethos that we embody. Rugged, resilient, and timeless.
Pull an audible. We'll get you the unhinged liberal of the day right at the start of the 10 o'clock hour, but because we don't have a whole lot of time and a lot to discuss with Dave Spano, we help you know the difference with the CEO of Annex Wealth Management. It is the post-Labor Day blues. Dave, I know you had to take a kid back to college. You've got another one who went back to high school today, or was he already back? He was already back, right?
Yeah, no, he's out. He's in Indiana. They're both in college.
They're both in college? Are you kidding? Where did time go? You're kidding me. Your younger one that we went to the Bucks game with.
You got it.
He will forever be in 8th grade to me, Dave.
No, he's in IU. He's at IU having a great time. So, yeah, they are gone. But a lot of kids have gone back to school today. The buses were moving around, and you did. You called Omaha. You called an audible here. So let's get right to it. For sure, September is more volatile than normal. And I think people should be cautious for the next 8 weeks. The last 7 or 8 months have been strong. I mean, the markets have been up 7 of the last 8. So what do we know is coming up? Obviously, we have September rate cuts coming. Obviously, the election is coming, and both of those could make people nervous. You look at concentration risk that's out there. That's all going to be up. But this is the economic news that people need to pay attention to. The Fed is shifting its attention from inflation to unemployment. And that is, there are two jobs, and they're going to begin to do that. It looks like inflation is near their number. The concern is now unemployment. And if unemployment ticks up, it's already up about 80 basis points. Went from 3.4 to 4.2 and likely to go higher. Dan, if that continues to go up, that will not be good because generally it starts to accelerate. So let's take a look at the unemployment number. Let's see what the Federal Reserve is going to do. And of course, obviously, let's watch what's happening politically. I think you're doing a great job of explaining policy differences, but some of our clients are certainly nervous when they talk about the taxation that the Democrats are putting forward.
The next Fed meeting is going to be September 17th and 18th. It's just sort of baked into the equation, I think, that there's going to be a 25 basis point rate
could
cut.
Be 50.
Could be 50 as they transition to employment, which would signal that they're very concerned about a slowing economy and the long-awaited recession. I mean, how many different signs have we gotten? But the economy has just sort of defied gravity. People are still bullish on the stock market. Profits are at record highs.
If that goes away, Dan, if that goes away, if companies start laying off and corporate profits going down, the thesis will change quickly.
Yeah, and that would be obviously very, very bad news for an incumbent vice president in this presidential race, a la 2008. Now, nobody expects an entire sector of the economy to have a meltdown. Technically, two. The banking and housing sectors just went into free fall in 2008 ahead of the 2009 recession, but that would not be good. Dave and I are going to discuss this in our weekly podcast, The Difference, dropping later today on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz talked to laborers on Labor Day. The Minnesota governor stirred the pro-union crowd yesterday during a campaign rally at Milwaukee's Labor Fest.
We know that we come together. It isn't just idle talk. When we come together, we can do amazing things. So here's the deal. Sisters and brothers in labor, it's time to get off the sidelines and get on the field.
Walz's visit came 64 days before the November presidential election, which is hotly contested in the battleground state of Wisconsin. On the way to Labor Fest from Mitchell International Airport, several people were injured when three vans on the Walz motorcade collided. The White House said 2 people involved in the crash were hospitalized. That included a Walz staffer who suffered a broken arm. Others in the vans carrying campaign staff and reporters suffered minor injuries. Walz and his wife Gwen weren't involved in the crash. The Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office is investigating the cause of the collision. 4 people died following a mass shooting aboard a transit train in Chicago yesterday morning. Police say the victims of the shooting were all passengers on the train, each of them appearing to have been sleeping when they were shot and possibly homeless. A suspect who was identified by surveillance video exited the train after the shooting, but was taken into custody about an hour and a half after the incident. Law enforcement also recovered a firearm. Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers and Cardinals are back in action tonight in St. Louis after the Brew Crew pounded the Cards yesterday. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
They used water to restore your wood? No wonder you need us. Well, don't worry. This time we'll do it right. You see, water raises the grain of wood, warps it, and opens splits and glue joints. It's the enemy of finished furniture. And that's why we only remove your finish chemically. It's not the cheap way, but it is the best way. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If you have a great piece and want to see if it's worth restoring, of course we can send someone out there. And no, we won't charge for the visit. We've been doing that for almost 50 years, along with pickups and deliveries, to get the beautiful piece that we restore back in your home safe and sound. And we'll guarantee your satisfaction to boot. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Mostly sunny skies as we're heading into Tuesday. Temperatures will be pushing a little warmer today into the mid and upper 70s with a wind out of the south-southeast about 5 to 10 miles an hour. We'll start to warm up even more so through the upcoming days this week. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll tell the story of the Gettysburg soldier who received the Medal of Honor 151 years after his death. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Brake issues, electrical issues, four-wheel drive issues, exhaust issues, and even my car just won't start issues.
You name it, we fixed it.
So the next time you're due for service, drive it on into Richlands and let our ASE certified technicians get you fixed up and safely back on the road.
Nothing warms my heart more than seeing our customers drive out of here with big old smiles on their faces. And all the credit goes to our staff. The most friendly, honest, hardworking, knowledgeable people in the business.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved.
And all staffed by ASE certified technicians, ready to provide you with top-notch service.
And after your vehicle's been serviced, drop us a Google review and let us know how we did.
Because a Google review from you goes a long way. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
Zero Foxtrot isn't just a brand, it's a way of life. Founded and operated by veterans, Zero Foxtrot's unique apparel and gear echoes the grit of the warrior culture. Zero Foxtrot dedicates itself to producing content, honoring the sacrifices of forgotten heroes of the past, and connecting history to the present. Embark on a journey with Zero Foxtrot today at zerofoxtrot.com. It's not merely our products, it's about the ethos that we embody. Rugged, resilient, and timeless.
Kickoff is almost here, and iHeart is the official home of the NFL Podcast Network, featuring podcasts like NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal.
Packing it with so much goodness. Chock full of info.
And tons of fantasy football podcasts with expert advice for you to win your fantasy league. It's the best part of the season. Your team is undefeated and anything is possible. Take the iHeartRadio app and the NFL with you right in your pocket. Open the free iHeart app, search NFL, and start listening now.
News Talk 1130 WISN.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
You're just a click away from listening to News Talk 1130 WISN in glorious digital clarity via the iHeart app. Click, enjoy, repeat.
Well, we got a proof of life from Joe Biden, so that was good this Labor Day weekend. He disappeared for 17 days. 17 days he's on the beach. He reemerges in Pennsylvania to say that America can once again be a manufacturing city or county or state or county, city, something. It was vintage Biden.
Can no longer be the manufacturing capital of the world. Where the hell is that written? Right. We are the greatest manufacturing city or county in the world, state in the world, state in the world.
Yeah, Joe, you made it through that sentence, Joe. Way to go. Biden immediately gets back on Air Force One to go back to the White House. Do you know what he said? He chided Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu for, quote, not working hard enough to free the American hostage who was executed by Hamas. Biden telling someone else he was not working hard enough after 17 straight days on the beach. We didn't get to it at the end of last hour. At the beginning of this hour, we present to you the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is
dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is this unnamed speaker. I mean, she was named, but frankly, I didn't care enough to look up her name. At Kamala Harris's rally in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh to be precise, where she painted a chilling picture of what life has been like under the Biden-Harris administration.
Every worker in this country should think about the two futures that we have in front of us. One future where too many of us are still living on the edge, where it feels impossible for young folks to buy a home, or that we're one bad break from everything going south, where we don't have freedom or opportunity on the job, and we have no way to fight back.
She's not talking about the future. She's talking about the present for many workers. I guess, should we even call her the unhinged liberal of the day? Should we say she is the red-pilled new conservative of the day? No, she is not nearly that self-aware. She's your unhinged liberal of the day. She was trying to draw the parallel between what life would be like under a Trump administration and what life would be like under a Kamala administration. You see, the sort of overriding theme of Kamala's candidacy is an attempt to fool people into thinking that Trump is the incumbent, not her. When she says, on day one, I will do this. Day one was January 20th, 2021. On day one, we'll tackle illegal immigration. Oh, you did. And you opened the doors to 10 million people. On day one, we'll tackle inflation. You did. You passed a stimulus package, $1 trillion, that did nothing but hamper a recovering economy by inflicting a whole ton of demand on a supply chain that couldn't handle it. And you had $1 trillion new dollars chasing far too few goods. As a result, 3 years later, no one can afford the basic necessities. But it is a necessity for Kamala Harris and her spokespeople to do this, because if people really reflect on how the past 3.5, nearly 4 years have been, and really compare that to what life was like before COVID under Donald Trump, when Democrats insisted, of course, that we shut down the entire world, the comparison couldn't be clearer. The future under Donald Trump and his economic and regulatory policies is bright, whereas the future under Kamala Harris, especially on her 25% unrealized capital gains tax, you want to know something that will tank the market a whole lot quicker than a couple of bad jobs reports, augmented by the Federal Reserve suddenly lowering interest rates out of fear that the economy is slowing down. It's that. If all of a sudden, unrealized, do you know what unrealized capitalized gains are? It's, I hold a stock. Let's say I have NVIDIA stock. It's gone up a ton. Everybody knows about NVIDIA. But I haven't made any actual profit. I hold on to something that is increased in value, but I'm taxed on money that I haven't made. Now, imagine you've got an entire $3 billion portfolio. Imagine you're a business, and all of a sudden you have got a massive 25% tax burden on money that you haven't earned. All of a sudden, that's going to force companies to lay off workers as they have a massive new expense that they didn't count on before the presidential election. That's sort of what's at stake here. Now, I did misspeak a little bit last hour. I said the last time a Republican won New Hampshire was in 2004. Kudos to a loyal listener on X saying it was actually George W. Bush, not in 2004, but in the year 2000. Producer Dave, are you? Oh, you told me that. You told me that. Well, I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to you. And frankly, I care more about our eagle-eyed listeners than I do about you. It was, it was someone on X named Logan. And in parentheses on their Twitter handle, it's reelect Bush Cheney 04. So I'm going to take a wild guess. Logan knows a little something about the Bush Cheney elections. My point, however, still stands. And New Hampshire, the fact that Kamala is going there tomorrow is not apropos of nothing, okay? It isn't just a spot where she's not going there like she would go to Los Angeles for a big, $50 million fundraiser at George Clooney's house. She is going there for a rally. She is going there to shore up support. In 2000, Bush won New Hampshire. In 2004, he narrowly lost it. There is a parallel in recent electoral history. Donald Trump lost New Hampshire in 2016 by less than 0.4%. He lost it out of about 700,000 total votes cast by about 3,000 votes. It was about 2,800 votes. Donald Trump lost New Hampshire. Voter turnout was up in 2020. It was up maybe 50,000 votes. Donald Trump lost New Hampshire in 2020 by 7% of the vote. By about 50 to 60,000 raw votes. Kamala Harris is going to New Hampshire tomorrow. Do you think she believes, as Biden very clearly did in 2020 when Biden won? And remember, Biden won an exceptionally tight race, even though the national popular vote didn't reflect that. Tell me, does this election on fundamentals more closely mirror 2016 or 2020? Trump is once again the outsider. Trump is again railing against failed Democrat policies. Once again, you've got an electorate that seems to be tired of the Democrat in office. And wouldn't you know it, just like after 8 years of Barack Obama with Joe Biden as his vice president, you now have the electorate tired of Joe Biden with Kamala Harris as his vice president. There is more of a parallel, I think, to 2016 in terms of where the economy is. Remember, we were talking back in 2015, 2016 about what? The jobless recovery, right? Obama was constantly touting the strength of the stock market, whereas we really didn't have employment that was keeping up with where we supposed the economy to be. Now, a part of this was just the natural digital evolution of work, right? You had increasingly smart technology able to pare down a workforce. But you had people wondering, hey, how are we going to put food on the plate when dad or mom doesn't work? Now you have people wondering, how are we going to put food on the plate because food is an unaffordable luxury after 4 years of Bidenomics. Trump is coming in and saying, if you elect me, I will change that. Now, why is Trump more popular than he was in 2016? Because in large measure, he's got a near decade record on which to run. He can point back to his presidency in 2017 to 2021 and say, look, were things not objectively better during that 4-year stretch than they are during this 4-year stretch? The world wasn't on fire. We didn't have Russians in Ukraine. We didn't have Hamas executing American citizens. Do you know there are still, I believe, 6 American citizens? There's 4, Dave? Thank you. There are still 4. That's right, because the one young man was executed. There was another one who was rescued. I believe another one was killed. So there are still 4 American hostages being held by Hamas. You want to talk about a real parallel? Let's go all the way back to 1980 when you had hostages being held by Iran. And this was a source of deep, deep resentment of Jimmy Carter. It sort of calcified in people's minds that this guy was an ineffective, feckless leader. He couldn't even get back the hostages. It's time to turn the page. You'll notice that there has been barely a discussion of the still held American hostages. And this is by design, because Biden and Harris have been so feckless and unable to get them back that they even said at their DNC, where the hostage who was executed over the weekend, the mother spoke and begged for his release. Do you know what Biden and Harris said at this convention? That the pro-Hamas protesters outside in Chicago, quote, have a point. That is a direct quote from Joe Biden. You might have missed it because they tried to bury his speech outside of prime time on night number 1 of the DNC. He said those protesters, who, by the way, have a point. That's how feckless this guy is. Now, Kamala Harris is, of course, trying desperately to run away from her own record and to try to pin the blame for what I think most of America that isn't blinded by liberal partisanship can see. We didn't have inflation under Donald Trump. Year-over-year inflation when Trump took office, or when Trump left office, I should say. When Trump took office, it was actually higher. I believe 2.3% in January of 2020. When he left, it was 1.4%. Big reason for that, of course, was the economy was essentially totally shut down for several months because of COVID-19 and liberal governments just deciding, hey, we're going to make it as difficult as possible to do business. 1.4% year over year. Within 4 months of Biden and Harris taking over, we had to 40-year highs in year-over-year inflation. It got all the way up to 9%. This was something that was unheard of since the early 1980s. Most of our lifetimes were free of this sort of dramatic price increase. And you'll notice they keep talking about, well, inflation is down, just like crime is down. Okay, well, let's take crime during the Trump administration and compare it to the rates during the Biden administration. I think you will notice a bit of a change. Same thing with inflation, same thing with prices, because now we don't have an inflation crisis in this country. We have an affordability crisis in this country. Inflation may be down, but when it's down to 2.5% that they're crowing about, and by the way, the Fed has essentially abandoned its goal of getting year-over-year inflation rates down to 2%, because I think it knows that that's an impossibility with the current fiscal policy that occupies the White House. 2.5% compared to 9% sure is bad. That still means prices are up 11%. Following 3.5 years, we have got the price of some food items up 30%, 40%. It was best exemplified by this guy who happened to see his Walmart shopping cart. Walmart has a feature on its app where it'll say, well, hey, do you want to do this order again? And it was a grocery order for about $127 that he made in 2019. He did it again. It was $400 some. That's the impact of years of Biden and Kamalanomics. So it's no real surprise that she's trying to paint Trump as the incumbent, because Trump as the incumbent faced much the same sort of voter dissatisfaction, largely because of COVID and largely manufactured by a media that was hyping COVID to be far worse and far more devastating than it actually was. I believe, and this is my lone COVID conspiracy theory, that the media and Democrats very early on decided that no matter what happened with this virus, they were going to pin the blame solely on Trump. No matter what, it was Trump's fault. This is why they outlawed the idea of calling it the China virus. This is why the obviously true theory that this thing escaped from a lab was suppressed, because that would allow people, oh, well, it was clearly China's fault. They let this disease out. Nothing much Trump could do on that. No. Trump told us to inject bleach into our eyes, or whatever lie they told about that one. Trump was the one who said this is their new hoax or something like that. No, the real hoax was the way that COVID was weaponized against Trump. But because of that, Trump faced the same sort of angry electorate, and he was susceptible to a challenger who simply said, look, I will return us to normalcy. people looked on balance at Joe Biden as a competent alternative. It was just like when Tony Evers ran, albeit in a big Democrat year in 2018 against Scott Walker. He was seen as this kindly elderly man. Meanwhile, people like me were saying, it's pretty obvious Biden is showing signs of severe cognitive decline, but that was ignored. Now what we're seeing is Biden is so cognitively declined. He's apparently still fit to be the figurehead president, but he's not able to run for re-election. And you face a similar dissatisfied electorate who is saying, hey, wait a second, we can't afford anything. Crime is much worse than it was. Our cities are cesspools. You have got unchecked illegal immigration. You've got Venezuelan migrants now taking over hotels in both Colorado Springs and Chicago. This isn't the America I remember. They are looking once again to a candidate who is once again presenting the exact same message as saying, look, I will drain the swamp. On day one, I will stop this. And this is bolstered by the fact that the regime is so terrified of him that they manufactured 5 different criminal cases. Now, you just had Jack Smith refile a superseding indictment last week. News that sort of swept under the radar. And by the way, have you noticed that they have just sort of stopped talking about Trump as a convicted felon because they know in their hearts how badly that backfired against them? Okay, we will get into the somewhat mystery surrounding, it's really, frankly, I don't think too much of a mystery surrounding the horrific murder of this UW Whitewater student, national champion gymnast. We will get into that, plus much, much more. You are listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. It's conservative thought, not just talk. You gotta get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. Built Right's Labor Day mattress sale is held over. Shop the best selection of mattresses in Wisconsin with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best brands made in the USA, including Heirloom, Therapeutic, Restonic, Schiffman, and many more. Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. From Built Right, you'll get exceptional value and a great night's sleep, as I do on my Built Right Heirloom mattress. They do the research for you, and their experienced team will take the time to help fit you. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, Built Right offers free delivery and removal on mattress-only purchases of $799 or more. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Be sure to tell them Dan sent you to Built Right.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
As I was taking him to the replacement part he needed, he looked around at all the people in the store and asked, with all the competition out there, how do you guys stay so busy? And I knew he was referring to stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. And I said, first, it's just having great people on our team. Smart, quick people who really know their stuff. And installers who only know how to do it one way. And that's the right way. And we make sure we carry products like window and door replacement parts that the other guys just don't. And that's why employees from those other stores send a ton of business over here. And we really appreciate that. This is David Wilhelm. Our formula is simple. Quality products, great people, and stock the important things you need that the other guys just don't. And that's why Lisbon Storm Screen and Door is your clear choice for more.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than what we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with a proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SECURE to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text SECURE to 989898. That's SECURE to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
To my point about Democrat cities just being almost uninhabitable because of the crime. Ricky Pearsall, draft pick of the San Francisco 49ers, very lucky to be alive after he was shot in the chest during a robbery attempt in San Francisco. He's a wide receiver. He is doing about as well as can be expected. In case you're wondering why the 49ers were so desperate to move out of San Fran, that is it. I was actually just in San Francisco spring of 2023. We took a spring break trip, drove down the California coast. It was wonderful. I actually thoroughly enjoyed San Francisco. But you knew doggone well where to stay away from once the sun went down. In Whitewater, an athlete murdered in cold blood. She is the defending Division III national champion in the vault, a gymnast by the name of Kara Welsh. She was 21 years old, and she was killed on Friday night in an off-campus apartment building. A 23-year-old man is under arrest in connection with this incident. What I can tell you that has not been publicly reported as of yet is that it is believed that the two were in some sort of romantic or dating relationship. I don't know if he was a boyfriend per se. I don't know if this was a crime of passion. She tried to break up with him, but this was not a random crime. It has been reported that he knew his victim and that he killed her. They were romantically involved. I am also hearing, but cannot confirm, that he, like her, is affiliated with UW Whitewater. And I've got to do a little bit more investigating, leaning on some sources out there. Welsh was a native of Plainfield, Illinois, and she took home the individual national title on vault at the NCAA Division III National Championships last year. She was in the College of Business and Economics, and Whitewater is a very, very good business school. She was majoring in management, meaning that she was a smart kid. Authorities have not yet released details of this shooting, although they do say it stemmed from some sort of altercation. Meaning, could this have been a breakup, just a bad fight, and the guy reached for a gun? We don't know. Criminal charges are likely to be filed either today or tomorrow. My guess, because he's been in custody since Friday, even though it's a holiday weekend, you did have investigators and the Walworth County District Attorney's Office working on criminal charges. Police have requested a charge of first-degree intentional homicide, endangering safety by the use of a dangerous weapon, and disorderly conduct while armed. Police have not yet publicly identified the suspect, and as of this morning, no criminal charges have been filed in the case. That, according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. I will continue to try to find more details on this case, including the name of the suspect, but I would expect that you're probably going to see a criminal complaint filed as early as this afternoon, as it's been several days now, and this is typically the time. It is entirely possible the suspect confessed already, which makes the case very, very easy and criminal charges almost immediate. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, a tour de force of truth.
Dan O'Donnell.
We'll be right back.
I'm Kamala Harris. Here's a few things I believe. Middle-class families, like the one I grew up in, they want common sense solutions. You want lower prices and lower taxes. I believe you want to just not get by, but you want to get ahead. We must create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to get a car loan, buy a home, start a business. And I believe we can make that happen.
Kamala Harris's plan? Bring down costs by cracking down on corporate price gougers. Make homeownership more affordable for families. A middle-class tax cut for 100 million Americans. And make sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share so you can keep more of the money you've earned.
But instead of being focused on the politics of the past, we need to be thinking about the future and how we make it better for families like yours. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President. For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
Solving your breathing triangle problem can lead to better sleep and a better quality of life. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
This is Brad Youngbooth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. We have two big humps in this business, right before summer and right after fall. And for us, that's when the lines are the longest. Folks usually choose to do their exterior work during those times, and what I'm trying to do here with this message is level out the flow of business so that we don't have to disappoint anyone come November and December because they were hoping to get their work done before the snow flies. I understand where the focus is during summer, but you know what? It really is a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows, because that's when the lines are the shortest, and it's the one time that we're pretty sure we're not going to get any snow. So if you're looking to get your work done, why put it off? The lines are shorter and we'll be ready. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
What's the best way to save or make the most money when buying or selling your home? Hey, Sean Hannity here, and as an active investor, I can tell you the only thing more expensive than hiring a professional real estate agent is hiring an amateur. Now, there are over 100 details in a single transaction, and dollars are in the details. That's why it's important to hire the most experienced and knowledgeable agent. I'm talking about Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Whether it's instant cash to buy your home or a six-figure marketing plan to expose your home to the most people and sell it for the most money, or options that most agents can't offer, he has helped thousands of families with unique circumstances sell their homes on time and for the most amount of money. Now, you can find out in less than 60 seconds what your home is worth in this market by a true authority. Just go to wihomeeval.com or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 five-star reviews.
If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Their physicians specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center. See orthowisconsin.com.
It's happening at pharmacies all across America. Older Americans keep asking, where are the lower prices on prescription drugs Joe Biden and Kamala Harris keep taking credit for? First, Harris cast the deciding vote for the Inflation Reduction Act, promising to lower drug prices. Then the Biden-Harris administration used the money from Medicare to bankroll their liberal green agenda. That's right. Instead of savings, seniors got a 20% premium increase, restrictions on access to medicine, and fewer cures. Now, liberals want to expand this Biden-Harris scheme that is already hurting seniors. Thankfully, Senator Ron Johnson has always fought to protect Medicare drug coverage. Call him at 202-224-3121. Urge him to keep fighting for affordable drug coverage by opposing S. 1246. Paid for by Seniors for Better Care.
The golden goose of real estate died on August 17th. Bob Tarantino from Redefined Realty. As a seller, your upfront commitment to pay a buyer's agent is gone. The smart sellers are going to negotiate it in the offer to purchase. What does this mean for you? Simple. You're going to save money as a seller, but you have to know where to start. Contact a Redefined Realty agent for the best commission plan anywhere. It's all negotiable. Just call and find out at 262-732-5800 or redefinedrealty.com.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Yes, I heard it too. The Kamala Harris ad. If you were listening to us on our flagship station, News Talk 1130 WISN, you would have heard Kamala Harris talking about her background. Weirdly enough, she did not use the black accent that she dropped in Detroit. Did she? So this is, if she's also running ads on V100, which is our urban station, this is how she'll talk.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave.
Here's how she talks on WISN.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave.
WKKV V100.
You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Here's WISN.
Thank unions for your vacation time.
Oh, my goodness. If you weren't listening right at the start of the show, that was Kamala Harris talking to what she believed was a primarily white audience in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania versus a primarily black audience in Detroit, Michigan. Now, people want to know, why is Kamala advertising on WISN? And here is how it works, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain. Pay no attention to the man there. Just listen to the big booming voice of Oz. So campaigns will typically, national campaigns, will use what are known as agencies. This makes a lot of sense. An ad agency determines placement. It determines where you are going to get the best bang for your buck, where you are going to get the most eyeballs if it's television or print, or earballs if it's radio. Clearly, WISN, which has had absolutely spectacular ratings for pretty much the last 2 years, but especially the last year, and especially the last year that we've lived in the last 3 months, our ratings are actually the best in the nation. We can credibly say that relative to the number of total potential listeners that we have, our market size, and the Milwaukee-Racine metro area, the market is 43rd in the country. So obviously WISN is never going to have the same total number of people, or cumulative listeners, as a station in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago, which are much better, bigger cities. Certainly not better cities. That was a Freudian slip there. Much better market position, much bigger city. We're never going to have that, but relative to our market, and this is measured in ratings, if you have, say, a 15 share, your audience share is the percentage of radios that are on that are tuned to you. Now, I'm not sure legally what I can say and what I can't say with regard to ratings, so I'm going to err on the side of not saying a lot. But what I can tell you is our ratings are such that we can actually say that we have the highest ratings share, not just of any talk radio station in America, but at least in terms of the top 100 markets, any radio station in America. So there would be an ad agency that's working for Kamala Harris that is looking to get the most potential listeners in any given market. Clearly, they haven't done a whole heck of a lot of research on what sort of audience WISN radio pulls in, because almost every single person who listened to that ad is not going to vote for Kamala Harris. How do I know? Because every single one of them has emailed or texted me saying, why is there a Kamala Harris ad on WISN? Can't you go to management and say, we don't want to air this? Short answer, no, we can't. That is actually governed by federal law. We have to accept ads within reason. If they're defamatory or if they're not true, whatever. There are limited scenarios in which we can reject a political ad, but broadly speaking, you do have to take them. Unless, of course, it's Trump, then networks and radio stations and TV stations were rejected. Do you remember how many ads they rejected in 2020 because they just sort of claimed they weren't true? We did a recurring segment on this show where we would take a Trump ad that was being blocked as being untrue, saying, no, this is absolutely correct. This is 100% factual. Just because you don't like what they're saying doesn't make it untrue in any way. So this is actually a good thing that Kamala is advertising on WISN. Simultaneously, it does also reflect the massive money advantage that the Harris campaign has over the Trump campaign. And this is nothing new, and it's not localized to just the Kamala Trump election. Democrats have had a massive money advantage really since about 2018 to 2020, when this latest round of tech bro billionaires, the Sam Bankman-Frieds of the world, decided that their highest and best use of their fortunes was to elect Democrats. Not only that, but you have got about 10,000 different 501c3 organizations running out there that swear up and down they don't do politics when the only thing they actually exist to do is to fund Democrat electoral wins. So with all of this and with all of the spending advantage that's happening in Wisconsin, quite possibly the critical swing state, is it not bizarre that the electoral wins once again seem to be shifting back towards Donald Trump? Mark Halperin, very respected political writer, he wrote the book Game Change about the 2008 election along with Jonathan Heilemann. Heilemann, you'll see on MSNBC, he's an avowed lib and says crazy things. No stranger to the unhinged liberal of the day is Jonathan Heilemann, but Mark Halperin was, and he's a Democrat, I would wager. He's an old school journalist who I don't think has ever really come out and said where he lies on the political spectrum. I'm taking a wild guess because he is a journalist based in Washington, D.C. He's a lib, but he's more honest. He said, look, based on his report, he's about as sourced a guy as it gets. He fell out of favor a few years back because he had a Me Too issue, and I don't remember the specifics of it, so please don't quote that. But this is why he's no longer one of the prominent like Heilemann and Halperin weren't the Woodward and Bernstein of their day, but they were very well respected in the books that they would write about presidential races and whatnot. Halperin says that internal polls are showing that Kamala Harris is really starting to crash. And it's not a crash in the sense that people are just waking up and deciding that they don't like her anymore, but she was defying gravity for a month based on this sugar high of Democrats just saying, oh my gosh, we're not going to lose. We're not going to lose everything there is to lose. Now she's starting to come back to earth because you have what's always known as regression to the mean. Perfect example. Willie Adames has hit a home run in 5 straight games. Eventually, Willie Adames, hopefully it's not the next. Do the Brewers play today? Yeah, they do play today. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, 6:40 tonight. Is it more likely than not that Willy Adames hits a home run? It's not, okay? It is defying gravity that he's hit a home run in 5 straight games. It's fantastic. It's one of the longest home run streaks, I think, ever. What's the longest? I think Ken Griffey Jr. had like 7 or 8 games with a home run, something like that. But it's fantastic. Same thing with the Brewers' phenomenal rookie, Jackson Chourio. What do you mean, how did I know that? How did I know it was Ken Griffey Jr.? Because I was a kid following that streak, and Ken Griffey Jr. was my absolute favorite player. Was that in 1996? No? What year? It was 93. Okay, so yeah, I would have been an 11-year-old kid. The streak, Griffey's or the record? Oh, Griffey does have the record? I'm going to go 8. It was 8 straight. Yep. Okay. I thought so. Yeah, he had a homer in 8 straight games because I remember I watched SportsCenter every single morning. That was like my tradition when I was a little kid. Yeah, he did tie the streak. He couldn't break it. Yep. It was the Yankee Clipper, Don Mattingly, and 11-year-old Dan was deeply invested in this. So yeah, that's why I always, God help me, I have a soft spot in my heart for Keith Olbermann because he and Dan Patrick were the absolute best SportsCenter anchors. All right. After that trip down memory lane, Jackson Chourio will regress to the mean. He's a very good player. Eventually, he will go through a slump. So baseball analysts are always looking at what's defying gravity, what is the mean, what is the average expected output of this player. Kamala Harris had the biggest sugar high, and I would argue artificial boost from the media's just refusal to demand any sort of answers or accountability from her campaign. Has there ever been a presidential campaign in history, not just modern history, that just refused to do interviews and said on August 8th, yeah, we'll try to get one on the books by the end of the month. Then she finally does one. She's got to drag along her emotional support buffoon. And it's an open question as to whether she's ever going to do an interview again. The media would be howling mad. What is this candidate hiding? Is this candidate too stupid to do interviews? They didn't ask any of that of Kamala because they too were so excited that a Trump presidency was no longer an inevitability. But the higher you soar away from average expected performance, the harder the regression to the mean is going to be. Now, I'm not saying that this means Trump is going to go back to the level he was against Joe Biden, because many people believe that Joe Biden, while they were never going to vote for Trump, just could not be reelected president because he was so cognitively impaired, and obviously so. I do believe this race is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a 53 to 47% Trump favorite, because again, I can't get out of my head the idea that Trump is going to lose Michigan, he's going to lose Wisconsin, but he's going to sweep the Sun Belt where he's been very strong and his polling essentially hasn't really moved. He's going to sweep Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, and then Pennsylvania. I just think Pennsylvania is the heaviest lift for Kamala Harris. Why do you think, for example, she's been desperate to avoid being seen with Joe Biden? Why did she drag along old Joe for the rally in Pennsylvania? Because she doesn't have that connection that Scranton Joe did with those voters. I have long thought, because she is such a radical lib, she is going to have a much more difficult time in Pennsylvania than in Wisconsin or in Michigan. I never believed for a second that Trump was the overwhelming favorite in Michigan, because all of those voters who just said, we're not going to vote for Joe Biden in the primary because of the opposition to his handling of the Israel-Hamas war and a heavier than normal Islamic population in Michigan, I still think those voters are coming home to Kamala. I still think Wisconsin, for all of the reasons that I've spent the last 2 years outlining, I still think Wisconsin is a state that now leans Democrat. I think Kamala is going to win both of those 2 states. but I think she's struggling in Pennsylvania. I think she's struggling in New Hampshire, as evidenced by the fact that she's going there. And I think she's struggling mightily in Nevada and Arizona because of the illegal immigration issue. And in Georgia, which I think was a fluke that she won in the first place. Remember, Georgia was about as close gets. Same thing with Arizona. And both of those states, I think, are now safely back home with Trump. So I'll give him a slight favorite, but this all, again, hinges on Pennsylvania. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
If you already know football or you want to learn more, listen to the Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest every week on News Talk 1130 WISN. Mark, along with football handicapping expert Mike Merlette, dissect the most interesting games. Plus, a listener can pick a game for a chance to win a $100 gift card.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac, featuring hundreds of new and pre-owned vehicles, plus impeccable customer service. It's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
Save big money now at Menards. Ideal garage doors can increase the value of your home and add curb appeal. Shop the largest in-stock selection of garage doors or design your own using our free do-it-yourself design program in-store or on Menards.com. Save big money on garage doors at Menards, America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction, according to J.D. Power. Visit JDPower.com for details and Menards.com for deals.
Save big money at Menards.
When it comes to your physical health, getting to the bottom of a problem cannot happen fast enough. This is where Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin's Ortho ASAP clinics come to the rescue. If you're experiencing any sort of bone-on-bone, joint, or muscle problem, walk right in and be seen by an orthopedic specialist trained specifically to treat these conditions. Their website is orthowisconsin.com. The Ortho ASAP clinics are located at both the Pewaukee and Brookfield Square locations and are a lower cost, higher quality alternative to the traditional emergency room or urgent care. You'll be sure to be seen by an experienced orthopedic specialist who's surrounded by a staff that is trained to provide you with the best possible care. Also, their Ortho ASAP clinics are housed where they have on-site x-ray, physical therapy, and MRI capabilities to help with your care all right there. You can learn more at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Phones aren't wired to the wall anymore. We carry them in our pockets. Cars can even drive themselves, right? Technology advances have changed our lives.
That's football legend Emmitt Smith.
Some of the most fascinating advances are happening with the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. I'm talking about natural regenerative treatments for joint pain without surgery or harmful drugs.
Tens of thousands of patients have discovered these breakthroughs firsthand at QC Kinetics. With over 100 board-certified providers across the country, they're transforming the world of pain treatment using your body's own healing properties to help restore your aching joints.
Why would you keep going back to the old tired ways of treating chronic joint pain? Check out the latest advances at QC Kinetics. And here's an idea for you. You can call them on that smartphone right there in your pocket.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure businesses throughout Wisconsin. Customer satisfaction is our first and foremost priority. As one of Wisconsin's top 10 insurance agencies and among the top 5% of agents nationwide, Ansay & Associates can provide all of your insurance needs, from business, commercial to employee benefits. Ansay & Associates, securing and protecting your American dream.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for CertaPro Painters. If you're like me, you do tend to spend a lot of time at home, and you may be noticing the scuffs and faded colors on your walls. Protect your home. Protect your investment with quality painting from CertaPro Painters. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, pro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 866-89-BIBLE. That's 866-89-BIBLE. 866-89-BIBLE.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
A lot of people on the adventknows.com talk and text line disagreeing with my assessment that I think if you, folks, I'm telling you what I am seeing right now. If the election were held today, based on polling, based on trends, based on what I'm seeing on the ground, I think Kamala wins Wisconsin, but that's up for debate. I honestly don't know. We've never had an election like this where one candidate, while she is known, has essentially had 3 months to introduce herself to the voting public. And she has done so without doing a single interview until about 40 days into the campaign. She really hasn't answered any questions. I think a lot will be determined by the results of this debate. And I just don't know. I see the trends, though, in Wisconsin. I see that it is very difficult for a Republican non-incumbent to win. And also, Trump was never real. When he won Wisconsin in 2016, remember, he was dragged across the finish line by Ron Johnson. It was not the other way around. We will, of course, have plenty of time to analyze that all week and really for the next couple of months. Time to get serious about the election. Dan O'Donnell Show back tomorrow.